keep you guys updated. We have seen the rise of the Draven banned away. G2 do not want to play against Attila and Draven. It looks like so well predicted there. Bwipo not going to give them that avenue. And then the Sylas and the Jace alongside the Cassio. Sylas stands out to me. This has been a champion with really not any success yet in the LEC, but from talking to a lot of pro players, you included Bwipo, it seems like one of these theoretically very strong champions. Where do you see him right now? Actually, you know what? Scratch that, because we've got Akali already locked in. Let's talk about the draft. Things are going pretty quick.
I'm not sure if giving Akali to the solo lane is that good of an idea, because it's exactly what I try to explain. It's a champion that can temper her aggression very well, but once she does decide to go in, it's very, very hard to judge whether she has kill pressure or not, considering almost every lane she does go up against, she has kill pressure on. So giving G2 a champion like Akali feels like you're asking to get solo killed, you know? You're asking for them to go for that opportunity at least.
You're giving them what they want. Akali is the type of champion that wants to play aggressive, wants to be in your face and wants to make plays, which is exactly what G2 seems to stand for. So it's definitely a G2 champion.
And it's interesting now that we see the kind of this Lucian Braum, something that I would normally characterize as an aggressive lane. Opposite side is the Ezreal Thresh. We'll talk about the LeBlanc in a second here, but how do you feel about this respective bot lane matchup? Do you think that Vitality can still go for that same kind of aggressive play-through bot style with this Lucian Braum duo?
I think so. I think that generally speaking, you take away the Braum from the Ezreal, because right now the common answer into Lucian is the Ezreal to neutralize the laning phase. But the thing is, when you take away the Braum, matching Ezreal with a lane-winning support like Thresh into the Braum, like the conventional counter pick right now into Braum is Thresh to get the winning lane right. But Ezreal doesn't quite have that laning phase power to really make the most out of Thresh. Whereas if you take the Braum with Ezreal, even a Lucian Thresh will have much more trouble breaking that lane. So for me, it's more about taking the Braum away from the Ezreal so you can actually still play to that bot lane. So I do think that the Lucian Braum will be able to punish the Thresh Ezreal here, especially by going onto the Thresh, because Ezreal doesn't quite have that burst, right? He can't just turn around a skirmish. So what happens is they go on the Thresh and Ezreal's just kind of trying to chip away damage, but oftentimes the all-in, the all-in damage coming in from the Lucian will quickly turn that trade into a favorable one for the Lucian Braum here.
Okay, and now as we see this more, we see the Victor banned away, limiting some of those comfortable, more flex picks, the Xin, the Lee Sin. I feel like we're seeing a lot of these early game junglers banned out, and I feel like both Mowgli and Jankos, we can kind of expect some of these more aggressive early styles that would facilitate, I think, both of what these teams are trying to do.
I definitely think so. Both of these teams benefit a lot from aggressive junglers like Lee Sin, like Sinsal, potentially. Could end up seeing something like a Camille as well, maybe a Kha'Zix. I would be surprised seeing, you know, a Sejuani, Ivan, you know, I think these junglers and these teams want to go for the aggression, and the Camille has been taken out as well.
The jungle pick's a little bit smaller now. I feel like we're waiting to see what exactly Vitality want to save last pick for. I think we'd assume that they'd go for their jungler here.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't. Like, I feel like Cabochard likes to have his counter pick here, but I also feel like most of the solid blind pick tops have been taken out. So I think in a situation like this, Cabochard can actually shine because he has like a few off-minute counter picks. I'm not exactly sure what they're playing, but I imagine that right now you don't want to counter pick top because you're kind of or blind pick top because you're kind of scared of the cannon. But in the same vein, the Jace is banned out, and this is the main counter pick to cannon that makes it feel an oppressive lane. I also think Victor is quite good into the cannon. So with both out, I actually think cannon is quite a safe blind pick here. So somewhat surprised they didn't go for the cannon there.
And interesting now, we have the Olaf locked in. The response appears to be the J4. Now, I'm assuming that, actually don't know, is Broxa, is this a jungle Jarvan? Is that
I think it's just Jarvan top blind pick.
It seems like it's a Jarvan top with a Karthus answering the Olaf.
How do you feel about Karthus into Olaf here?
I feel like if Karthus can actually survive the early game, then he's going to be really, really strong against Vitality's team comp. But at the same time, it's a really risky matchup to play, as Olaf is one of the scariest junglers in the early game, especially once he has Predator. If he actually gets onto Karthus, it's going to be really hard for Karthus to survive. But at the same time, if Jankos can actually predict Olaf's pathing and be smart and try to play around that and avoid him in the early game, then I think the Karthus pick is really great here, especially considering that Vitality doesn't have a single tank in that team.
Ooh, difficult spot to be. Now, Bwipo, as you are a top laner as well, I do want to get your thoughts on the top lane match. We have the blind Jarvan, the counter pick now coming out for Cabo is the Rumble. Is this a super favorable matchup for the
I actually don't think this is a good matchup at all. This used to be a counter pick. Jarvan used to be picked into Rumble, so it's kind of strange to me that he's going for it. But maybe since the changes and considering you haven't really seen this matchup in a while, I could definitely see it going both ways. Now, I want to point one thing out with Olaf and the Karthus is a lot of Olafs are rushing Redemption, and Karthus is not happy when Redemption is on the enemy team. So I feel like Mowgli, being a Korean, sees probably knows $1,000 on Olaf. I'm looking forward to seeing that Redemption coming out here really like in the early rush, because not only does it stop Karthus from really getting those juicy ultimates. It also brings more power to the 2v2 bot, which they want to go all in, right? Lucian Braum want to go forward, have that redemption on top, and just be fearless.
And that's what I'm excited to see too. I like the kind of the build your own Soraka with the Olaf pick for a little bit of counterplay there. Now as we start to get into the loading screen, as we get ready to get into game, I do want final thoughts. Who do you feel like came out on top in the draft here? It's a tough call. Obviously, two very different compositions. We've got the Jarvan coming in. The first time we've really seen that in the hands of Fnatic. Or not Fnatic, it's Fnatic Jarvan. Sorry, that's the skinny pick. My bad. In the hands of G2. Unintentional BM. My bad. Going up against the Rumble, I think very different drafts. How are you guys feeling? Who do you think is going to take it?
I actually am a bit unsure. I think Vitality has a pretty much full early game style comp, meaning that if Vitality can actually put on the pressure and try to get ahead early and snowball, then it can be really good for them. But otherwise, I would say G2.
Well, we're going to find out as the teams are ready to hit the rift for the biggest game of the 2019 LE season so far. Medic, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jankos. I'm joined once again by Frosk on the casting desk in G2 versus Vitality, match of the week. I've been promised kills, and that's what I want to see, Froskurinn.
Well, you heard it from Bwipo and Broxa on the desk that they feel that Vitality's composition is all about the early game. I agree. Level 6 being the big power spike since they do have a Rumble, and that's kind of when I expect everything to explode for Vitality. But if they don't find it, I look at G2's composition. I look at a scaling Karthus, and I look at a Caps Akali. The ability to play 1-4 if Caps ever gets ahead on Akali, and then to also have a Karthus ultimate in his back pocket.
Yeah.
How do you ever deal with side lane pressure from G2 in the late game?
And we are, of course, still on patch 9.2 before Akali gets pretty gutted.
She's still a champion.
On 9.3. She still exists in League of Legends. And that mid lane is obviously a key focus. You know, Jiizuke into Caps, probably first best mid laner versus second best mid laner in the league at the moment. And you have to wonder who's going to come out on top of that, because Jiizuke had this LeBlanc so early in the draft as well. We were talking about it and we were confused as to why you go LeBlanc that early on.
Yeah, because normally when you see the Akali, you would grab the Lissandra. We saw Febby take the matchup against Abadage earlier today. It usually goes in Lissandra's hands, and I just felt like, you know, Jiizuke said, you forgot about my LeBlanc when he had that smashing victory on it. It feels like it's just a comfort champion. You know, if you think about how would Team Vitality ever beat G2, you would imagine that Jiizuke would be able to slow down the Caps snowball. And on his comfort, one of his signature picks like LeBlanc, maybe that's what Vitality are going for.
Quite possibly. Jankos has a comfort pick for himself as well in the form of the Karthus, one of the first guys to bring that out on the LEC stage, and had an incredible performance. Just pressed R in the first week.
6 times.
Yeah, but did it very well. Didn't fat finger that key at all, not once. Other key points of interest to me are the bottom lane, of course, Attila and Jactroll getting the Braum Lucian, one of the most oppressive lanes if you can get that concussive blow early on. And then you've got Mowgli on the Olaf, and we know Olaf is so good at ganking bottom lane.
I mean, you were standing right next to me, Medic. As soon as I saw the Lucian Braum locked in, I turned and I said, Mowgli's going to play Olaf.
You did?
And again, it's Olaf's gank access into the bot lane. He can be so potent and powerful, and not only does it have that great redemption rush that Broxa was talking about, you know, as a good answer into Karthus, but it is just so easy to gank into that bottom side. So I expect Mowgli's focus to really be about Attila and Jactroll.
Interesting that he went for the full play of his bottom side jungle first, then actually pathing up towards top side, maybe thinking that he can mitigate a counter gank or something up towards that top lane.
It doesn't necessarily mean that he's never going to gank them. He would just be on second rotation. I feel that since it's easy for Rumble to get the initial push just because of Flame Spitter and things like that, that you want to path top side just so you can give a safety net to Cabochard.
Mickey lands the hook, ignite down onto Attila straight away, but PerkZ has to stay away from Jactroll. Flash away from Attila. Jactroll pulled back with the play as well. Double flash already burnt there from Vitality. And that is weak sauce from the Vitality bot lane.
Yeah, throw it all out. It makes it much harder for Mowgli to ever now look at this bot lane as a viable option until those summoner spells are back up and available for them. Just really devastating. You know, we talked a lot about how Mickey and PerkZ have been a bit overzealous, a bit over-aggressive, not necessarily being very respectful of their opponents, and they've given away some of G2's, you know, early kills when things do manage to go wrong for them. But Attila and Jactroll are pretty much in the exact same boat. Very overconfident bot lanes.
And Jankos is going to force them back here as well. He's on a ward, he's going to back, but just means that Mickey and PerkZ have total control over this bottom lane. Already a 10 farm advantage for them. A wave pushing in, but you're only looking at 2 or 3 farm that Vitality's going to pick up.
And it was always going to be difficult to break an Ezreal Thresh lane with the safety of the Dark Passage from the Lantern, as well as the shift from Ezreal, it's very hard to kill that bot lane. And again, now with Attila and Jactroll not having access to their summoner spells, it will completely change what Mowgli decides to do here.
I mean, I look back to the first day
As I say that, though.
Yeah, Mowgli coming in for the gank down towards the bottom side. PerkZ and Mickey a bit pushed up. Do have the flashes.
This is the only window that Mowgli
PerkZ
can
used
do
it very
this.
short. He's just got locked up.
Yes!
He's down.
Oh
Mowgli comes
my
in.
God.
We saw PerkZ die in a Lucian Braum lane last week. He does it again, after having the advantage with the double flash as well.
So the genius here is that Mowgli knows that after PerkZ and Mickey back, that there's never going to be an accessible gank there. So he suspects that they haven't placed the vision yet, and he immediately passed towards the Raptor camp to sneak in through that tri-brush. It's just great timing and great awareness from Mowgli.
And Whippo said it on the analyst desk when we were talking through picks and bans. He said maybe the slight inexperience of the bottom lane from G2, because we know Mickey and PerkZ are incredibly good players, but maybe a little bit of inexperience as to how to exactly play that bot lane role caused PerkZ to step a little bit too far forward.
And just that window. But that said, PerkZ now has the teleport, has his back, has the sheen, and is going to trade very well. I actually want to talk about the Lucian itemization. Should be noted that Attila has the Doran's ring start here, and what that does allow is it gives you a bit more punch and a bit more impact in your Ardent Blaze for early wave clear and push.
What we tend to see is, I think, 3 levels in the Ardent Blaze. Yeah, he's got 2 levels in it already, so expect to see that up to 3. You don't usually max it all the way. You just want that little bit of extra poke, a little bit of extra push that we were talking about. But Vitality strike first in the bottom lane after being pushed behind. They'll be pretty happy with that state of affairs. Jiizuke was forced back mid on a cannon wave as well, but should be here in time to catch that wave.
That's really punishing, though. That's Caps level 6, and Jiizuke without teleport, and the wave being not positioned correctly for him, he's going to lose a lot of gold and experience there.
No, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, it's those little advantages. Watching Caps lane, it's unfortunate that we never get to have like a full-on shot on Caps, because how he manipulates minion waves in between backs is actually really significant to finding smaller advantages into bigger ones.
Well, you know where you could find a full-on view on Caps? The POV stream, Riot Games, twitch.tv/Riot Games 2 has Caps POV. At the moment, of course, it's a sepia screen as the game is paused, but you can jump on over there and have a look at it, and we'll bring that back up later in the game to see exactly what Caps is looking at.
I mean, he's already got a 10 CS advantage as an Akali, so pretty significant.
How is that lane really expected to go? Because we knew it was probably going to be into an Akali lane when we saw the LeBlanc pick, and Vitality opted into it. So is the LeBlanc expected just to win that lane, or is it much more the sort of state of affairs we're seeing?
I mean, I'm not super familiar with the intimate micro interactions of LeBlanc versus Akali. The general idea with Akali is that you just kind of sack the lane phase, and a lot of pro players would say that, you know, Akali's laning isn't as bad as people make it out to be. Yeah, you're going to sacrifice CS, but when you have a champion that's still just as powerful and potent as Akali, it's totally fine. Again, we saw Abadage decide to go into the Lissandra matchup. He was totally fine giving away his lane phase to have that impact later on, and Caps is going to be no different.
It was just a mouse setting on one of the Vitality players that they had to get fixed, which is why we had the pause, and now we're back on into the action. Frosk, what do you want to talk about? Where do you want to go? Where have we not highlighted that you're interested in?
I mean, it feels like everything's still going to be about this bottom lane. Jankos now level 6 not only has access to his ultimate, but also that wall of pain. And it feels like everyone's just hovering around here. I'm curious if he's going to slip around this corner.
Probably could. Wunder going in onto Cabochard here in the top lane. Cabochard actually gone for the Seeker's arm guard first as well on that Rumble.
I also really like the point that PerkZ and Flippo talked about, the fact that Cabochard picked Rumble when he had access to the cannon. I wonder if that was a direct response to...
Attila's still ignited here. Doesn't have the flash. Obviously doesn't have the relentless pursuit. Skittles dodged out. Flash forward from PerkZ. Oh, he orders the wrong one! Okay, now PerkZ win game. They get the kill in the end, but they burn a lot trying to do it.
Good guy, Jankos, though. Did try to give the kill to PerkZ there. He was waiting. He's like, it's fine. I've got the ultimate. I won't steal it unless I have to.
And he got it in the end. But there was some good Skittle dodging from Attila. He didn't want to taste the rainbow, and some bad clicking from PerkZ, we'll have to say. Clicked on Jactroll, I believe. Wunder looking for a gank here as Mowgli invaded the top side, knowing that Jankos was down towards the bottom side. Sealing away a blue buff is obviously impactful against the Karthus.
Yep. And we'll see if Wunder's able to do anything here. That's level 6.
Mowgli does have the Ragnarok. Wunder still on the chase. Pops down the Cataclysm. Flash is available for Mowgli. He waits to use it. There's the Equalizer down as well. But Caps coming in for the chase. Flashes forward. Kills one. Has the Twilight Shroud as well to get away from Cabochard. Just dodging in that invisibility. Jiizuke eats a wall of pain. Dodges a couple of the Skittles. Jumps forward with a distortion. Dodges away from Wunder. Caps over the wall. Ignited. He's done. Jiizuke flashed the wall as well. But now Mickey's going all the way up towards the top side of the fight. Jactroll trying to get towards his top lane to save him. But Cabochard doesn't really have anywhere to go, dodging away from the lay waste, but eventually falls. 2 kills in favor of G2. Mickey's still on the chase here. Jiizuke might just turn it onto him. That's a very squishy Thresh. Jiizuke trying to use the clone, but Mickey has his number. The hook doesn't connect, but Jankos coming in from the side as well, and Wunder will get the kill. G2 now 4 kills to 2 up, only 8 minutes into the game.
And Mowgli thought that because there was so much action happening in the bot lane that he could actually rotate into the blue buff and steal it away, but it's a great read from G2 to recognize, no. Just because Karthus is spending his time down here doesn't mean that you can just take the blue buff and have the great collapse. So this is the previous gank that sets it all up and sets it in motion. You can see Mowgli on your minimap right now. He is just booking it towards blue. He wants to try to punish the fact that Jankos has spent his time bottom, but it's a great team response from G2 to shut that down.
Vitality may be trying to make a team play down towards the bottom side here. We are still on in the action as Mowgli went for the blue invade.
And again, I do want to circle this this Jarvan pick. So again, I was thinking, maybe you pick Rumble as opposed to the Kennen because Jarvan can work really well into Kennen. Kennen wants to zip in, he wants to use a big ultimate. If you throw down the Jarvan ult, Rumble at least still has some sort of way to start a team fight because it's a long-range ultimate. Jarvan's also excellent at Olaf. Everyone knows that Mowgli loves playing Olaf. You just drop the ult on him, he's not going anywhere.
Well, locked up in place. Caps did fall for this, but you have to think G2 came out on top. They killed Cabochard, they killed...
100% they came out on top.
As well. They killed Jiizuke at the end of it, actually got 3 kills off at the back of it. And Jankos assisting in all of them or getting the kill himself actually is really helpful for him. Karthus, early on, as soon as you can get gold in your belly, you are able just to scale up ever so slightly quicker. It's
a fact that the gold went everywhere than it needed to be. The fact that Karthus, like you're saying, has a springboard, that Caps' Akali got fed, and also the Jarvan.
Tries to use PerkZ, jumps in, he's underneath the tower, locked up with the concussive blows again. He tried to get to the lantern, but couldn't get there. Mowgli ganking bot on the Olaf. We knew he'd do it. Caps and Jankos on the chase here. Mowgli does not have the flash, and Caps can just chase him down. Try and farm up some minions, Mowgli. That's all you're good for at the moment. Jankos gets the kill. But again, we see the exploitation of the G2 bottom lane from Vitality.
They're trying to punish it, but that's also what Vitality's composition is built for. So, yes, PerkZ and Mickey, it's not looking great. Maybe not for Caps either. It's not looking great down here, but the fact of the matter is that this is how this game plan was supposed to go. It was never supposed to look great for PerkZ and Mickey. They're down here to try to survive this. It's Thresh, it's Ezreal, versus Lucian, Braum, and an Olaf.
You can see Attila using the culling just for the poke damage, and as soon as Mowgli is spotted, they know the Predator comes out. G2 are running for the heals, but PerkZ once again jumps for the Lantern. I think Mickey may have just stepped out of range of it.
PerkZ and Lanterns, it's been rough.
Yeah, name a more iconic duo. Basically any duo in the world, because they don't seem to combine.
He's there to park it mid lane and to absorb farm. Again, a lot of where G2's composition can take over is that Akali Karthus late game in a side lane. So Mickey PerkZ, they're just doing what they gotta do. Yeah,
it's the 1-4 that we talked about. Now, Redemption is out on Mowgli. That will help against some of those Karthus ultimates. Jankos, 2-0-2, 500 gold bounty, 6 stacks on that Dark Seal as well. Can be so impactful in the early game when you're just trying to get that little bit extra damage down. He is down here towards the bottom lane, waiting in the bush, hiding, anticipating an overstep from Vitality. Maybe Mowgli will gank again. He's not going to.
Well, they also have a lot of vision. You can see that they've got 3 control wards, 4 if you count the other trinket wards. So PerkZ and Mickey know that they can be hyper-aggressive here.
Jankos spent a long time down here, putting the Skittles down as Jactroll just dodges around, flashes away from the hook. And that is an easy enough escape. Jankos spent a huge amount of time down here. Mowgli just farmed up his jungle. Caps actually getting towards that Scryer's bloom means that he knows the blue buff is still up. And it's fine. G2 are in a good position. About 1,000 gold ahead. Vitality have made some forays. They've struck in. They've stabbed a little bit on G2, but G2's armor seems to be holding strong.
Yeah, and it's now kind of where do they attack? Again, because Attila and Jactroll are still having their summoners burned because G2 are sending Jankos down there a lot. PerkZ and Mickey, while it doesn't reflect in the scoreboard, are at least whittling down at these two.
Once again, Mickey caught out just a little bit. Winter's Bite comes out, looking for concussive blows. There is the stopwatch. Dodges the Glacial Fisher with the stun. Oh, good flash from Mickey. Culling goes into PerkZ. Mowgli on his way, but Jankos is just waiting around the corner. And
PerkZ, Mickey, and G2 have learned. You can see that they've got the dragon warded behind it, so it's much harder for Mowgli to use the same pathway that he used in the early game to try to punish this.
Can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results.
But with a Cabochard having TP, I think level 11 for the Rumble, or maybe if they're feeling really desperate, they try to pull the TP play now. I think Vitality have to force plays bottom. Either take the dragon, take the tower, force the Rumble TP, but they're kind of running out of time where their composition has kind of full steam and they can really abuse with this Braum Lucian.
We said it's an early game composition. Well, early game tends to end pretty quickly when you're playing against G2. PerkZ takes another chunk of damage there from the Lucian. Didn't really need to step up to the plate. But Mountain Drake goes over to Vitality. It's still 200 gold between the two teams. I want to go back to that gold view after Caps fights against Jiizuke here. If the chance comes out, Caps jumps back forward. Holy moly. That's a lot of damage. Mowgli is actually in the bush. Jiizuke dodging that. Caps uses the second proc of the perfect execution. There is the redemption as well, and Caps is ignited. Jumps away. The Requiem isn't down just enough. And Caps gets the heal from the Triumph as well.
And it is so devastating to deal with an Akali if she has any sort of kills when she also has a Karthus. And you saw it right there. Again, it's really going to be exploited when G2 start playing side lanes or the 1-4 with this combo.
I mean, Vitality opted into this matchup as well. They knew the Akali had been locked. They said, okay, we'll take the LeBlanc. 20 CS differential between those two mid laners. And the mid lane matchup is one we have to talk about when we talk about G2 versus Vitality. Caps up against Jiizuke. Both these players at the top of their game right now. And in the running, I think Caps is definitely the best player in the LEC, probably in the West. Jiizuke is challenging to be that second best mid laner in Europe.
I mean, but he's just not having the same impact that Caps is having. You know, the fact that Caps was able to get the rotate, help out Wunder in the early plays, now finds the kill there, because what this does is it delays Jiizuke's impact to the rest of the map. You know, if he's focused on this 2v2 against Caps, he's not helping his bottom lane.
Jankos just being round the corner every single time. Mykix takes a bit of a culling, but the hook doesn't quite connect onto Jactroll. PerkZ farming up the Krugs, doing what he can to keep that gold in his back pocket. Has the Kleptomancy, of course, so it's actually about even on gold with Attila, even though Attila has that extra kill. Caps dodges out the chains, and we said this last week, and I think the word for Caps for me is miraculous, right? He's the guy that just makes these plays. Attila gets so much damage as the PerkZ. Mykix doesn't hit the hook. A chase up onto Jankos here as well on the top side of...
Here comes Wunder.
Bottom side of the map. There's Wunder, as you say. He did come into the lane, and he didn't really do too much, but he clears out the wave. This gives you pressure to push into the enemy jungle if you wish.
Vitality need to stop flirting with whatever's happening in this mid lane and actually just rotate bottom and force that tower down.
I quite like the flirtation.
It's making me very nervous.
Understandable, understandable. Smite comes out. Oh, he stole it away. Mowgli with the mechanics. Says, Jankos, you can press R, but I can press D ever so slightly quicker.
I mean, he's always going to have to respect this Olaf in the jungle.
There is the first tower of the game, though, for Vitality. They utilize their bot lane pressure. Before the 15-minute mark, they get it. Rift Herald comes down mid. No plates will be got from this Rift Herald, which is always important. However, they should get the damage down. Caps jumps in. Jiizuke jumps across. Perfect execution chase is there. Mowgli is coming just in from the side as well. Teleport in from Cabochard. Has the equalizer. Counter teleport will use, but Cabochard now not in the best of shapes because Jankos and PerkZ can just turn straight onto him. Attila also going to get called out as well. Cabochard down, pops the equalizer, but he's already dead. Attila has the flash. And Vitality licking their wounds. They save the mid lane tower, but only just.
Completely different page on that teleport there. Cabochard is level 11. He's got 2 points into the ultimate. That's the power window that you want to fight in. But if the rest of Vitality aren't on the same page and capitalizing when you teleport to the backline, it's a super easy decision for G2 to just turn around and say, mid tower's ours, you can't cancel that teleport, Rumble's life is ours, and now it's 2 minutes to Infernal, and we're starting to build up a gold lead.
Yep, about 1,000 gold already for G2 ahead. Let's just press, have a look at those gold leads for the individual laners as Caps takes a culling, but he's just going to turn onto Attila, can use that 5-point strike. I'm really focused on that bottom lane because you thought PerkZ would be a lot further behind, only about 200 gold behind because of the Kleptomancy. 1,000 gold lead already for Caps in that mid lane.
You know, Upset said it best on EU4 when we had him. He felt that Attila was really just kind of a hammer of the bottom lane. He likes to beat you down, constantly be in your face and be hyper aggressive, but that means that he's not denying you CS, so there's no big CS discrepancy. It's just been bloodshed back and forth between Ezreal and Lucian.
Yeah, and Cabochard teleporting into his death probably didn't help the team too much. He's always been, well, across the course of this split, he's been one of the key players for Vitality, the standout performers, I think you could even say. Probably even in the running for best top laner in Europe, alongside Wunder. I think Wunder doesn't have the opportunity to shine quite as much because the rest of his team tends to shine a lot, but this game he's definitely showing up really well.
He's not finding the same success on Rumble as he did with the Jace and the Cannon.
No, he is not. Jankos says, that's my Rift Scuttler. Just going to put the Skittles down, and actually the Equalizer will do quite a bit of damage here. Wunder coming in as well. Cabochard looking for that Blast Cone, put in the Cataclysm, uses the Blast Cone to get away, but PerkZ can still get to the chase off here. True Shot Barrage eats through the Rumble, and that is a very dead top laner. Vitality trying to do something on the top side of the map, though, but can you catch Caps? Because up until now, it's been a very difficult prospect. Jiizuke jumps under the tower. Okay, Jiizuke's dead to the Requiem. Jankos gets it. And yeah, you can't kill Caps. Don't gank Caps. It's like, don't chase Singe. Don't gank Caps. They're going to try and do it again. Here we go. Jactroll takes it up. Teleport comes in. Jactroll runs away. Vitality run away. And Caps did nothing in the entirety. He literally just stood under the tower and said, come at me. Mickey with the flash play in. Caps still there as well. That's a very dead Thresh. We're going to pay for it with a couple of lives at least. Caps still on the chase. Comes all the way back to the Twilight Shroud. And G2 once again come out on top with 2 kills for 1.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Jankos is like, I guess I'll just solo the Infernal. So there was so much that went wrong for Vitality there. It was the decision for Cabo to be in the river without his team. He gives away his ultimate. It automatically means they have no access to Infernal. You can't find it, you don't have Rumble ultimate. And then they double down on poor choices by trying to fight and dive Caps. Excellent turnaround with that Requiem Akali combo, and an even better follow-up with the teleport to help Caps continue to pick up kills. So they're very quickly starting to bleed out as soon as this lane phase has ended, and we're starting to make mid-game decisions.
I have another look at this because the micro interactions between the Akali and the LeBlanc are quite interesting. You can see Jiizuke just trying to get to his team. Caps gets enough damage down with the chase. And then after that, it's just like Vitality should not invest anything more into that. Jiizuke is so low once again. Forced away, passive comes out. That is the clone. Wunder might look for the engage, but realizes now that it's a clone. Can just jump onto Cabochard and Jactroll if he wants, pops them in the Cataclysm, puts them in this Doom room as Jankos comes in as well. There's so much damage from the Defile. The Redemption comes out, already 1 down. Wunder is the one to fall. He gives over a bounty to Vitality. Jiizuke picks it up, but Caps on the chase. Jumping forward with the Shuriken, pops down that Twilight Shroud as well. He's going to get Mowgli for himself. 3-1-4 on the Akali, and that first pick is coming up dividends for G2.
G2 just slamming Vitality into the meat grinder. Again, we talked about how Jarvan can work against champions like Olaf, work against champions like Rumble, but how he works with champions like Karthus.
Caps jumps in onto Attila. They're just looking for the tower, but Caps is just in the middle of all 4 players. Perfect execution onto the lantern.
Oh no.
Jiizuke jumps all the way in, though can't quite find the connection. And Caps is showing PerkZ how you use the lantern effectively.
Is anyone going to stop Caps?
No.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh, they all survive! It is an indictment on the state of this game that Vitality fans are cheering because they didn't die to a Requiem.
But the problem is that they still lost their mid tower, and at this point in the game, this is when Karthus is just going to become so obnoxious. 4-0-5, all he needs to do is when they want to siege a tower, you don't have to kill anyone, you just gotta press R, and they must respect Caps.
We've just got past that early game portion where Vitality had the advantage. Whippo said it best on the desk. If Vitality do not get ahead in the early game, they basically have nothing. You're playing into an Akali, you're playing into a Karthus, and they can just do so much work. So Jiizuke's on a ward.
Yeah, we get to see how and what happened to Jiizuke earlier on. This is where we came back in previously, so like you said, it's just good vision from G2 to catch him out. And Jiizuke's doing the right thing. He's trying to look for picks here for someone to walk unsuspecting into the LeBlanc, but just not having the vision denial to play that way.
And here you think, great equalizer position. You've got them locked up, you've got Jiizuke, but you can't quite get enough damage now.
But it's also, again, how well Jarvan works with Karthus. You just make a little basketball hoop and you just start dunking on kids. Just popping in Skittles.
It's like trying to throw them in someone's mouth from across the room.
That always ends up in my eye.
Interesting.
Fun fact.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Have you tried having depth perception?
No.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I think the thing with G2 is, as a team, the best way I can describe them is G2 is kind of like, they're playing the game that everyone else is playing for the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game, and then they just say, okay, we're going to win now, and in the next 5 to 7 minutes, they just tend to win the game. So that's what I'm expecting now, right? They're about 4,000 gold ahead, which is a big lead, but not monumental. And I'm expecting G2 to just find a fight, get Baron, and win the game in the next 5 minutes.
I mean, that's what we expect, but you can see that Vitality still have a lot of fight in them, and I just find it, I mean, the courage that it takes for a team to ever look at someone like G2 and say, let's test our limits against these guys, let's try to take early, scrappy fights against them. Like, credit to Vitality, they tried to take it to G2, but just showcasing how they're so strong mechanically. That collapse onto the blue buff was really the big swing for G2.
Exactly. I feel like there's a chasm between G2 and the rest of the chasing pack. Schalke may be pushing up towards it now, but still I feel there's a disparity between the skill of those teams, and then everyone else is fighting for second place at the moment. Of course, we are only just about coming up to the halfway mark of the split, so there's still a lot of work left to do. But as you say, yeah, PerkZ now sitting at 2 items, almost got the Blade of the Ruin King up as well. You can see G2 just continually snowballing that gold away.
I think it begs the question that if someone is going to take down G2, that you can't do it through G2's style. If you actually just try to go toe-to-toe with them and just like out-mechanic them, you just get slapped down every single time. And so the question is, you know, if G2 finally go down, is it because someone tries to play a different strategy around them? Maybe Schalke is the answer by playing these slow, patient, methodical, Baron-oriented games as opposed to trying to step toe-to-toe in lane phase.
But yeah, that's the question as well. If you don't step toe-to-toe, do they just take too much of you in lane phase? Like, if they're willing just to have caps on Akali and he's making 1v1 plays because you picked a scaling mid, it feels like they accelerate the game even quicker than you can ever catch up in the late game. Vitality do still have a shot, of course. 4,000 gold behind, but you've got that big team fight presence. You've got the LeBlanc, you've got the equalizer.
And they are feeling good about fighting over this dragon. This is kind of the one last hurrah that they have. You can see the confidence. They've got the vision control. They've already placed their control wards. They're trying to bait G2 into it. So how do they play around the Karthus, and how do they play around this Akali?
Caps put the Froskurinn onto Jactroll. Not going to go for it. There's the culling as well. Hits onto PerkZ. Takes a little bit of his health bar down, but not enough. Attila took more in response. Jiizuke gets the chains. That's a chunked out Mickey.
The problem is that even if you get vision control away from this comp,
I love the start with the Requiem, because immediately Caps just jumps in. That is a dead Lucian. Jiizuke tries to get onto the backline, but he can't even kill Jankos. He gets chunked out as well. PerkZ is on a killing spree. Mickey gets the kill onto Jiizuke, and this is just clean stuff from G2. Absolutely beautiful League of Legends, playing their composition to a T.
no!
I love it from Cabochard. He's just like, mate, I'm out. I'm yeeting out of here, and eventually just gets knocked up anyway. It's the ace for G2. And you know what I said 1 minute ago, Frosk? What did I say? I say, oh, G2, they get to about this point in the game and then they just win. What are they doing? They're just winning the game.
There are absolutely no survivors there. G2 just wiped the floor with them. What I was about to say is if you do manage to deny all of the vision from G2, this composition has so many great ways to check vision. Between just throwing out the poke, between the Ezreal, you can throw out your flag, see what you fish there. You got the lantern from Thresh as well as his death sentence. Like, there's so much non-committal abilities to just kind of fish for it, and then opening up with the Requiem to just say, I mean, we know they're in there. Let's just go in anyway.
This replay brought to you by Alienware and the letter R.
For Requiem?
For Requiem and for perfect execution, because you press it to jump onto the backline.
Just disgusting.
It's disgusting, right? It's disgusting, because the problem for Vitality is they have to make a play like this. They have to do something, and Cabochard, like, he's trying to get out. He's like, nah, man, I'm done. And then in the end, he is done.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Please. Sacrifice was for the good of the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah, I feel you there, Jiizuke.
Yeah. I think anyone playing G2 feels like that at the moment.
What can you do?
They're just mechanically better. It's like if you put a gold player versus a diamond player, right? Like 9 times out of 10, a diamond player wins just because they seem to know the game better than you, and you can't really understand how it is. But G2 are definitely a cut above everyone else in the LEC.
But now it's time for Fnatic Deathbrush.
Can we call it that?
Well,
now?
Maybe.
It's the Vitality Deathbrush.
Who's
Control
gonna
what
face
comes
check?
out. Here we go. Vision toggle.
Who's been
Caps.
hunted?
Oh, is it going to be Caps? It's going to be... Oh, no. That's a shame, guys. I'm sorry. G2 are just going to keep winning for a while.
It was a good run.
It was... I love it. Vitality like, guys, we have the perfect plan. The only way it can be defeated is if they use their trinkets.
It was a good 30-second window where we had a hope.
And now they've got a magic 8-ball there. It's like shaking it. What do we do next? What do we do next? Try again later. Okay.
Meanwhile, G2 applying Baron in every single lane, continuing to eat up more and more of this map, get farther and farther ahead.
10,000 gold lead at the moment for G2. Look at the items as well. Hextech Gunblade, Morello Nomicon, Rabadon's finished on the Karthus. You've got Redemption on Jarvan, for goodness sake, right? He's just like, oh, just heal my team a little bit more. And look at that, Caps underperforming. Less than 10,000 damage in this game. It's just a disgrace, Caps. Come on, step it up. Stunned up in the Twilight Shroud.
He's 1v3!
Welcome to a Twilight Shroud. Wunder pushing in the bottom lane. Top lane is being pushed in by PerkZ and Mickey. I think Karthus is up there as well. Here comes the Requiem. Say a prayer to the gods, Vitality, because Cabochard almost gets 1-degged. That is the tower going down. G2 already got the inhib in the bottom lane, looking for the inhib in mid as well, can push towards the top lane. And Vitality don't have a hope in hell of doing anything this game. Jactroll's going to jump in, but there's the Twilight Shroud once again. Caps clicks the lantern. No amount of wards can stop him. Redemption comes out as well. PerkZ jumping forward. Maybe Vitality can do something because Jiizuke gets onto PerkZ. PerkZ is is unstoppable though. He gets one. That's a second for Wunder. And Vitality's going to get cleaned up in their own base. Caps goes golden. And Attila and Jiizuke just trying to get something. They get him! They fell Caps before G2 clean up the ace. This will be the final inhibitor down, and G2 in our match of the week show they are without parallel at the moment in the LEC. No one can stop them. No one can stand up to the G2 army.
It didn't even look hard. All smiles across G2. They absolutely spanked Vitality there.
It was the spanking. I think that's the best way to describe it. I thought maybe that the chaos style that we know from Vitality would bring G2 down into the dirt, but G2 is just like, we were born in the dirt. We were molded by it. We can do chaos style every day of the week.
But the thing is I think that doesn't give actual credit to G2 and how crisp and clean their strategy was, how well the synergy between the different pieces of their composition worked. The fact that you have, you know, Akali versus Thresh and some of the interactions there, that she can hide herself in the shroud and then you drop the lantern. It makes it that much harder to actually kill the Akali if you ever do catch her out of position. The fact of how well Karthus and Jarvan work together by locking everyone down into your massive AoE damage. It's so many different pieces that come together for G2, and then you put on top of it the fact that they have such high mechanical abilities in every single position.
I think, like, it's always hard to say there were weaknesses in that team when they dominate that well. But I think if you're looking for one point where G2 did not play totally perfectly optimally, you do have to look at PerkZ' laning phase, because he really struggled in that lane. He took too much damage at times, and yes, he made up for it. He played very well in the mid and late game, but that early portion of the game into Lucian Braum, which is a hard lane, he did struggle.
I mean, you teach them, you temper the aggression.
Yep.
You never want to teach your players aggression because it's something that can't be taught. You either have the bloodlust or you don't have it. So while Mickey and PerkZ have maybe burnt themselves a little bit in being hyper aggressive, they did trade back and forth rather well. Yep. Attila and Jactroll had the Lucian Braum. They were still burning multiple summoner spells all the time. PerkZ never fell behind in CS. He opened up so many opportunities for Jankos to capitalize onto the gank. So, you know, maybe it's not the cleanest that it could have been, but if you're never pressured, does it matter? And
when the rest of the team is so good, you have the room to make those mistakes, knowing that those other players can step up if you fall too far behind, right? Caps and Perks will be joining us in the LEC post-game lobby, so I'm very much looking forward to that. I think that there is such almost a mysterious quality around G2 now.
Is it mysterious?
What's...
The thing is, we keep building up G2 as like this super villain mastermind. They're like in the evil lair and they're just like plotting everyone's destruction. But then you look at them and they're just like cackling, they're jovial.
But that's why they're so good at being villains, because they don't look villainous at all.
They're actually just like Jack from The Incredibles, where they just have all of the abilities.
Just like Caps is going invisible over here, PerkZ is spewing fire over there. God. Sonic waves, alternate dimensions, everything's happening.
It's cute and it's adorable and you want to love it, but meanwhile it's murdering everything.
I mean, makes a lot of sense. For our match of the week, you can vote for either Jankos, Caps, or Mickey in our Kia Player of the Game vote. So what are you waiting for? Go on over to LOL at LOL eSports on Twitter and vote. I'm
going to give it a solid Jankos R button.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we've had a Blast Cone win the game previously, and now it's Jankos R button. I think I agree with you, generally. I think that's a very good play overall from Jankos. Of course, commiserations to Vitality on their loss, but let's get together with G2's top laner and their jungler and see what they have to say.
Thank you very much. We will get together with their top laner and jungler. So let's start. Jankos, was that as easy as you were expecting?
I think my team played really well, so I think the game wasn't that difficult. I also thought giving up Akali was not good from Vitality because Caps already showed how good he is on the champion. So I think I was pretty happy with the draft, and I had a champ that I couldn't really, play bad on because all I had to do is press R. So yeah, everything went as planned.
Wunder, you're chuckling there a little bit. Jankos is one of the candidates for player of the game. You're not, I'm afraid. How does that make you feel when all he does is press R?
Well, I feel like it's really easy to look good on Karthus when you have 3 lanes that are like 4 players on your team that are so insane. So I'm not really sure if he should be like a candidate for player of the game, but the most important thing for me is that I just knew it was so easy when we got Akali that I had to play a different champ than I had played the split. So I have 7 different champs played the split now, and that's the most important thing.
Talk to me about the Jarvan. It was blind pick, then obviously the counter was Rumble. Today we've seen a wider variety of champions than we did last week. So talk to me first of all about the Jarvan and then why we're seeing more unique picks this week versus last week.
Yeah, well, without going into too much detail, Jarvan is an AD champ top, and right now we have like a lot of AP champions played. And since, I mean, if it's a good game for Karthus, you normally don't want like really, like you don't want like a really AP heavy team. So Jarvan is a pretty good pick. It was good blind this game, and yeah, so I just picked for team basically, and like picked for the team comp kinda, since we don't want them to stack full MR. So that was the game plan.
Well, it definitely worked out very, very well. Jankos, 7-0. The 18-0 storyline is now becoming closer, more believable, something we're going to start considering. Is that something that you think about? Is that something that could be important or relevant for you?
I mean, personally, I don't really care much about going 18-0, but it would be really cool to show our fans that we are good at the game. For me personally, I would just like to win tomorrow against Fnatic, because last year we were struggling and it was always difficult. And it seems like last game against Excel, Fnatic actually played pretty well, you know. So I'm not sure if they bounced back yet or if they just had a lucky game, but I'm for sure excited to face Fnatic.
And of course, for Jankos, when we look at the team as a whole and the rebuild and how everybody's growing, you guys are seemingly unchallenged, unparalleled. We're trying to find weaknesses. You know, is this something that you guys think about when you look forward towards like international events and things like that?
I mean, I think right now we are mainly focusing on Europe, so it's really difficult to say how well we would go, you know, how well we would do on international stage. Right now it's just basically, you know, going game by game and trying to focus on our next opponents. And then if we do make it to MSI or if we do make it to Worlds, then we will see how well we can play against the international teams.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing who's going to qualify for MSI. Wunder, how does it feel when you have this team of superstars? Everybody's like smashing. The Shoutcasters in-game were talking a little bit about how your Jarvan was great, and it kind of sucks because you're playing this new champion, playing really, really well, but you've got Caps and Akali, you've got Jankos pressing R, you've got all these superstars, and you're one of the quieter members of the squad.
Well, I mean, I don't really care because I just want to win, right? So I don't really care if I get all the player of the games or if Caps gets all the player of the games, which he, I guess, does at the moment. I just care about winning, and I care about us winning as a team. And if I can just be a part of it, and if I can do my part of the winning, then that's good for me.
Who's the biggest troll on the team?
I mean, we have a lot of candidates, but I think...
Okay, give me a tier list. 1, 2, and 3 biggest trolls.
1, 2, 3. I mean, I'm not gonna... I feel like Caps for sure. I mean, Caps is like... I mean, everyone has seen like the shows when he was on Fnatic or like even on G2 now. So everyone knows he's like a really big troll, and I would for sure put him 1. For second, I mean, I'm not really sure. There's like a lot of names up in there, but I feel like Jankos has his moments. He could definitely be second. And other than that, I mean, we just have a lot of different personalities, but we all get along. So that's, yeah, I mean, that's the tier list. I would say the third one is shared between the rest of us.
So everyone else is on the podium as well.
For sure, yeah.
I like that. Jankos, what's the team environment like? You guys seem to be having so much fun. You seem to be smashing while having fun. It's very entertaining to watch. But what's it like for you? You know, is it always jokes, or when do you get serious?
I mean, I think right now we do joke around a lot. We do joke around a lot in gaming house. We even sometimes joke around on stage while playing LEC, especially when we're winning. So, for example, like in this game. But I think that we do also get serious when it comes to scrims. You know, we try to improve, and sometimes we are actually not doing as well in scrims as we do on stage. Maybe not results-wise, because we do tend to win, most of them, but we still have a lot to improve on. We still have room to grow. So I'm excited to see how far can we go and how good can we actually become.
I'm very excited to see that as well. Jankos, that camera will be looking at you in a moment, and I'd like you to say a message to the fans because they have voted for you as the key player of the game for pressing R.
Well, I'm really grateful. I think my Karthus is really insane because I know how to press R, and I'm really happy that I'm slowly catching up to Caps because I can't believe he's getting like every single MVP, and this time he didn't. So I'm happy, and I'm really grateful to all the fans, and we will try to not disappoint with G2, and we'll try to keep winning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jankos. I have one last question for Wunder. Okay, when you look at players of the games, and you look at Caps, and you look at PerkZ, what do you have to do to get player of the game?
Well,
With his fans just saying feed.
well, I think I need my jungler to set me up a bit. Like, we all know that jungler is the most OP role in the game. And I just need my jungler to come top, honestly. Like, what is he doing on the other side of the map? Like, he needs to feed me so I can carry the game.
Okay, there we go. G2 Army, that's the strategy. Gentlemen, congratulations on the 7-0. Good luck tomorrow against Fnatic. We're going to head over to the post-game lobby with Jankos.